And welcome to our live session. My name is Roger Brooks. I'm here with Nim Stant and David Brier, and this session is called How to Go All In 2021. So thank you everyone for joining. I would like to have our guests do brief introductions. Nim, we will start with you because you just wrote a best-selling book called Go All In.
Thank you so much, Roger and David. Nice to meet you here too. So my name is Nim Stant, and originally I'm from Thailand, in the third world country, from the lower middle class family where 20 years ago when I told people in America, like Thailand, people's like, where is it? I'm not in the Middle East, I'm in Asia. So anyway, here in Arizona, I live here with my family. And what I do is basically, if you want to go from where you're at to where you want to be, that's my job to help you get there. So again, Roger just mentioned, I wrote a book, Go All In. This is an awesome topic to talk about today, how to go all in 2021. So I'm excited to share with you all about that.
Awesome. And David is just sharing the live link with his audience real quick, Nim. So as he does that, let's just talk a little bit about this book. And I had the pleasure of working with you on this exciting project. Tell people how long it took you to write this book, when you made the commitment to actually write it, and then, talk about going all in with your book itself.
Roger, a lot of people say that I'm very lucky, lucky to be the bestseller, lucky to get to do what I love to do. I'm saying that that's not a luck. It's the preparation meet with the opportunities. So when I commit to grow my business in the national level, right? I'm not playing in kindergarten level or high school level. This is like the national level. I commit to myself to write 2 books a year. So the first book, the Yoga Journal, I wrote it for 3 months and I launched it. I published it right away. The second book, Go All In, I start January 2020, just the beginning of the year. I finished the framework of the whole book within a week. And after that, COVID hit. I was in Thailand. I remember I was in Thailand hosting a yoga retreat. And then, having so much fun in the sun, making money, swimming in the ocean with my clients, and wrote a book. And then flew back to the US in February. COVID hit. I have to turn around, change and pivot my business into totally different world, compared to hosting a yoga retreat. So it took me a longer time for this book to complete it. My goal is to take only 3 to 4 months, but it took me about 8 months to finish this book because I have to put my mind and my time to improve my business. So that is the story of this book. But the thing is, when you just like commit to go all in, nothing else can stop you. It's very fun. I'd rather do it full out than just like, wait for the business to get better and then writing the book. It is not the way to go.
Did you say that you do 2 books a year?
There we go. Sorry, guys. Hey, mommy's in the. Do you have any business tip to share? All right, Soraya, thank you so much. Can I have a meeting with my friend?
No.
All right. Go for it. Okay, David, what did you say again? Sorry.
My question, you said you do 2 books a year?
That's the commitment, yes.
Holy. Holy crap.
Yeah.
I'll leave it somewhat clean, at least for the next 20 minutes. But that's amazing. That is like beast mode right there.
Well, David, my book is tiny. Yeah, but it's not about the size of the book, right? It's about
it's about the size of the ideas. Because that's the one thing that I know. People are always amazed when they get my book because mine is like it's like very concentrated.
Yeah. I cannot wait to read.
I could have, I could have taken, 3 sentences and written 3 chapters, but I had a different viewpoint when I wrote mine, which was I value the time of the entrepreneur. I value my time. I value their time. So my personal pet peeve, which whenever I mentioned it to any other entrepreneur, they've always agreed. I said, I kind of was sick of reading these 250 to 300 page business books that somewhere sandwiched in the middle would be the 10 pages of gold. And there was everything that came before it that was a preamble, and everything that came after it that was an extrapolation. And everybody I mentioned it to is like, yeah. And so when they get mine, some people are like shocked because of it's large text. But then they start reading it and they're like, whoa, this is not short circuiting. There's no lack of depth. It's deep, but it's just succinct.
And David, what do you have to say about, Nim talked about going all in and her commitment to that. And I know from working with you over the past, whatever it has been, 8-9 months this year, is very similar to your mindset. You don't play around. This is not kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
David? It ain't kindergarten. There ain't no freaking kindergarten going on around here. No way.
Well, David, I believe that if you take an average result, average action, you're gonna get the average result, right? And I don't want the average result. Taking an average action, going step by step, taking it slow, taking it easy, is a trap. And you end up overwork anyway. You end up not making enough revenue that you're looking forward to. You end up not helping enough people either. So nobody win with that. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right, because the bottom line is there's this, what I call, there's a kind of like a little epidemic in the business world, which is there's a little bit of like this sort of entitlement bug.
Right.
I want to put in a little bit of effort, but yet I want to reap maximum result. Now, that's different than someone who wants to go in and there's no problem being, if you want to be efficient to maximize your result, that's different. But if you want to put in, I just want to put in a little bit of effort, not really put my heart and my soul into it, not really put skin in the game, and I want to get a lot out, that's going in, you're going to lose. Hands down. Even if, I actually had a brother who lived on that mentality. He would, he presented himself to the world as being a big, a shark in the business world, and this, that, the other, but it's not what I call clean money, because to me, clean money is when you put in so much value that the other people are like, oh my God, I would pay this again. Right?
Yeah.
Or I would pay double or triple or more. And I was talking to a colleague of mine, because some of our projects that we've been involved in, I mean, literally at the end of helping them craft their message, I mean, these are the words we've gotten. I mean, this is literally verbatim. The last 3, what we did, like over the last 2 weeks, the first one was the CEO said, yay, and clapped. That was the first one. Next one was, you nailed it. And these are like some serious CEOs. And the last one just yesterday was just grinning ear to ear as they were like being shown their future. And literally 2 words at the end, I'm speechless. And when you get those kinds of responses, you've done your due diligence.
Yes. And it's pay off.
Complete. Everyone wins. If you are not blowing out the potential of those people you're serving, you are underserving them. That's my philosophy.
Exactly. Agree 100%.
Yeah.
Love that, guys. So we're all shared. All the links are shared everywhere. So we are good to go all in with this session. David, talk about some of the things you are doing to prepare yourself and your clients to go all in 2021.
Basically, it's stripping away. It very much parallels to what Nimitz said. It's basically stripping away the idea that that average service and average outcomes are going to get you and your clients where they need and wants to be. Average to me is a death sentence. Average to me means you've already lost. If that's an acceptable standard, you've already lost. You must go in with the factor of, how do I not only excel, how do I exceed whatever standard of excellence that I am saying I need to achieve? And I'm always going to be the one to challenge and say, is that enough? I'll challenge my clients. They'll go, well, blah, 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 blah. And maybe to them, from their viewpoint, wow, we've never done this before. And I'm going, well, that's fine. That's the micro viewpoint, looking at their world from the inside out. I look from the outside in, going, okay, that's good that that's more than what you've done before. Now, let's take a look at what's out there. How what's out there is that on a scale of, if out there reaches 10 and you're reaching and your reach and stretch gets you to 2, that ain't good enough. If it gets you to 3, that ain't good enough. If it gets you to 4 and 5 or 6, that ain't good enough. You need to be operating, to me, 8 is not a destination. 8 is breathing. 8 is only breathing. That's not excelling. 9, 10, you're starting to be in the game. But 8 is taking a breath. You're not even breathing. You barely have a pulse under 8.
I love it.
That's great. Great. Well, there's a couple of questions I have for both of you. The first one is, how do you deal with procrastination? Nim, let's start with you. How do you deal with that?
Well, in my book, there's one chapter that talk about you need to give up to grow up, right? So you have to give up something, for something else that is better. If you say, I want a weekend off, right? I always want a weekend off. Then get a weekend off and get the result that you just, the weekend off. But, it's, boy, give up something that for now, right? It doesn't have to be forever, to trade with what you want. It can be a relationship that is like dragging you down. It can be a conversation. It can be the money mindset. It can be how you spend your time. So have that give up mindset, stop the procrastination and really stay in your lane, laser focus on where you want to go. Because right now with the COVID, and a lot of people have their own show, have their own TV on YouTube, have their book, writing an article and stuff like that. I mean, you don't have to do everything that they do, but what is it that you want? Like the first chapter in this book talk about decision is everything. So when you know exactly what you want, right, what you're seeking, it's going to seek you too. And stay focused in your lane is the way to really stop those procrastination. Again, you don't have to do 10 things, right? Stop that and just focus in one thing and in your lane.
Now, I have to commend Roger for recommending you. I adore you. I think I love your viewpoint. I love you're like so and I always love that. You can always tell when someone's like really in and you're speaking, you're not, it's not lip service, it's real. I mean, you can tell, you feel it, see it. And you've just inspired me. I now want to write a new book, and it's called How to Procrastinate in 30, 60, or 90 Days.
Right. Well, David, when I just like smile and kind of laugh at myself about it, because 20 years ago when I could not speak English, like when I see the white guy like you guys, I'm in the back of my house. I'm running away. I'm not even want to talk, because I that's why Thailand called the land of smile, because we smile because we cannot understand. So we just nod our head and smile, and my name is Nim, right? The word Nim in my language in Thai is means soft. And
what's it?
Soft. Like
soft.
something very soft.
Oh, soft. Okay.
but I'm not soft at all. Like I practice discipline to be the person that I'm now because I want it so bad. So the first question that you all those who are listening to this show right now, like, what is it that you want and how bad do you want it? Do you want it that bad? Are you that super hungry? Because if you want it that bad, then burn all the bridge and then just go all in.
Yeah. And the thing, I already know that you agree with this because I could tell your philosophy is that all in isn't about being all in for what you get. It's being all in for what you give.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are giving all in, you will get your rewards. I mean, because you're putting in the hustle, you're putting in the blood, sweat, and tears, but you're doing it legitimately. You're not just going through the motions of like looking like you're busy, and those little tricks and talking to the right people and that this little political games of like, ooh, talking to the right person. That's just crap. I mean, if you were really, I was talking to a nephew of mine just yesterday, 2 days ago, actually. And I just said, look, because he was looking at my book and he was like, I'm looking at going to college. I said, look, yeah, you can go to college. I said, but there's a problem. College teaches you what to remember. They don't teach you how to think.
Right.
You need to be able, if you can think, if you can challenge, if you can question the norm, if you can say, wait a second, why are we doing that? And if the answer you get back is, well, that's because we've always done it, then you already know that's like, well, that's something worth questioning, because the world doesn't stay the same. The world is moving at a pace and you need to be attentive. And if you are doing it the right way, you can pivot or very, very smoothly and fluidly. It's not disruptive. There's times to be disruptive and there's times not. But no, this is awesome. This is all. I mean, I love this. I'd love to see if anybody has any questions with regard to this stuff. I think this is freaking awesome. Nim is in beast mode. I mean, there it is.
David, why don't you tell us how you deal with procrastination?
Well, you saw it in the last 24 hours. You and I were on 2 different phone calls. I think it was 2 different phone calls. And someone said, yeah, we should do blah, 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 blah. I said, like right now. I mean, you and I were on a Zoom call. I said, like right now. I'm like, none of us need to add to our to-do lists. I think to-do lists are really pretty bad because we all have to-do lists with a lot of, some things are done and there's always stuff left over. And so to me, if I'm on a call and someone says, well, we'll do that. Well, why don't we do it right now? Because we've already decided we're going to need that potentially in 24 hours. Why don't we do it right now? And what you saw it in 5 minutes, we handled what would have sat on a to-do list, at which point it was kind of like the 11th hour. Why do that? So that's it. Well, you've seen me in action on that. So that's how I deal with procrastination. It's like, look, it's like, if not now, when? If not now.
So you're saying do it in the moment. Don't put it off. Don't procrastinate. Get it done while it's fresh.
If it's a micro task, why have like 20 micro tasks on your to-do list? If it's a micro task and it's going to take you a finite period of time, it's going to take you 5 or 10 minutes. Why not handle the hell out of it now, done, and that just increases your efficiency. And it also, to me, which is possibly even more important, it lets everyone know that you're serious about this.
Yeah.
That it lets them, they're like, holy crap. He didn't save that for tomorrow or later or blah, 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 blah. And so you're setting an example in real time, not only for yourself and your own efficiency and effectiveness, but also for others to see. That's the way to do it.
Love it.
Yeah, no, and here's the thing, I've worked in the corporate world. I've worked for small businesses, large businesses. A lot of people just kind of go through the motions of the day. And, what is that? It's not fair to your employer. It's not fair to yourself. And I think if, going into this next year, this was a reset year for all of us, right? So if we go into this next year with that mindset of not procrastinating to get the things done in the moment, you will be so productive. You'll feel better about yourself, and people will respect that when you get something done at that moment. So David, I'm really glad you talked about that, which leads me to my next question. And that is, Nim, we'll start with you first. How do you become what I call a student of your calendar? How do you really optimize your calendar and get better at that and schedule more things? And one of the things I've been trying to do over the last year is to shorten the time of meetings. Instead of having a 30-minute meeting, have a 10-minute meeting or 15 minutes. You could usually accomplish the same thing in a shorter amount of time. So Nim, I know you do a lot of different things every single day. How do you optimize your calendar?
So grateful for the phone, right? To have put everything on the phone to remind you. I'm telling you, even when my husband want to go out for lunch with me during the weekday, I said, what time and when? Because I need to put on my calendar. So like everything is on the calendar.
So smart.
Yeah.
It is. Great.
So prioritize is very important. But what I want to say is you're not going to do it. You're not going to put things in the calendar if, again, go back to decision is everything. If you're not going to commit to go all in, then there's no need to talk about calendar, right? So go back to ask yourself, like, are you really committed to this or are you just interested to do it? I'm interested to go all in, but so that you're not committing it, right? Then there's no need to organize your calendar, basically. So when you're ready to organize your calendar, ask yourself first that are you gonna commit to this? That's all.
Fantastic.
Yep.
And David, same thing with you. Same question to you. Give people some tips. How do you manage your time? Because I know you're doing probably 100 tasks a day, and you're faster. I mean, I've been on calls with you where you're doing things in the moment, and you move this.
Well, it's very, very interesting because it's actually something that I actually have seen, and it really parallels to the example I just gave. Sometimes, because I do, obviously these days, doing a hell of a lot of Zoom calls through every day. Sometimes I'm on and I literally, like, I just completed like a major, it's been about a 5-month project with a company that we just rebranded, and it's just glorious. It's a freaking masterpiece. But the thing about it, we were on and they were like, well, what about blah, 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 blah. And it was very funny because they had a question about one of the pieces in this whole brand manual that we did. And I said, that's what we found actually worked best, and blah, 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 blah. And then what they basically did, they said, well, what if it was like this? And what if it was like this? So I'm like, I pull it up while we're sharing. I say, well, what you're describing would look like that. They're like, oh, that doesn't look good. And they say, well, what about this? And I say, well, what you're describing would look like that. So I'm literally showing them in real time.
That's huge.
So we took 6 minutes, and what was hysterical, and it was very funny because the client said to me after at the end, said they literally arrived full circle exactly at the solution that we recommended, but they had to walk through. They basically explored everything that we had already done, but they weren't there when we were doing it. So they had to do it for themselves, and they were like, we guess you were right. So, but it was handled in real time. I used to think have a reservation about that it was like, oh, if I do that, that's going to cheapen my time. I sort of had an idea, and it actually is false. And the bottom line is, okay, you have that question. Well, I'm going to show you what you just said. Instead of you thinking in your head and imagining it, I'm going to show you what you just said.
Yeah.
Now you can see it. I already know what it looks like. I've been doing this for 4 decades. I already know what it looks like. I already know what the outcome is. You don't. That's fine. Here it is. And then they go, oh.
No,
so
and I think
you get the difference between the idea and the reality. They go, oh. And I'm like, good. And then they go, well, what about that?
What's great about that, David, what's great about that is I don't care what industry you're in. That same example applies to everything. So again, decades of being in these corporate meetings. We'll get back to you tomorrow about that. I'll have to look into that. No, whatever you do, whatever business you're in, become an expert in that. So you could answer the questions. Now, of course, if there's something you can't answer and you have to get it, yes. But like David just gave that example, show people in the moment.
Yeah.
Give them examples. Don't be afraid to open the hood, so they could, look inside.
But there's one other flip side to this, which is which is that little beast of indecision. And when someone does that, and I could see it as like a neon sign, I'm like, let me just ask you something. Are you going to know something more than you know right now in the 24 hours that you say you're going to tell me? Are you going to have any more information or more insight? No. Good. Then we're going to handle this right now. So I just completely, so like, I will bulldoze the BS sort of procrastination, excuse, non-committal. It's like, look, you know what? I'm all in. You're all in. Put your ass on the line. Okay? Put your ass on the line. I put my ass on the line. What your ass isn't more valuable than mine. Trust me, I've looked and I've inspected it. Trust me, your ass isn't more valuable than mine. So we're good.
Great. Excellent. Okay, Nim, let's talk. Give people some tips on what they could do as they head into 2021. Some fresh ideas. I know you're working on a million different things. Talk about some of the things you're doing, and maybe it'll give people some inspiration of how they could, pivot in their business. You once were a yoga instructor. I know that. Talk a little bit about your journey and how it's led you to where you are, but heading into this next big year.
I found that every 10 years of my life, like I change, but change in the way that I'm growing as a human being. And I'm so, so grateful about that. I was a classical dancer from Thailand and India. And then I turned into the yoga teacher. And then I became the entrepreneur. And so with the journey of being a yogi really helped me work from consciousness. I would say it's, and when I write the book Go All In, it's not about masculine energy, but it's about really knowing who you are and knowing what you want. So first, with 2021, ask yourself, right? What is it that try to emerge in me? What do I have to become to serve my life vision? What is my life vision? So ask those questions and ask specifically in the early morning. I would say the best time is, get up early and ask this to the universe between 4 a.m., 5 a.m. That's it, like 4 to 5, the time that all the animals, the birds, and all the living thing is still sleeping, because that is the most quiet time in the universe, in the world right there, so that you can hear. So ask first and then listen, right? The art of listening. So listen and hear. You're normally going to get some answer right there during that time. That's an enlightenment. And then start your day with that theme, that whatever message and that come. So each day repeating the same thing, and throughout the days, like I always ask, and I believe in God and I believe in the creator, right? So I ask, where would you like me to go? What would you like me to do? What would you like me to say, and to whom? So I living every day with the purpose. And entrepreneurship for me is very spiritual. It's not a woo-woo thing. It's not religious. Whatever you choose to believe, right? It's not wrong. But if you do it with the higher consciousness, seriously, it's more fun that way. And it's really growing you as a human being. So 2021, this is not too late. It doesn't matter how old you are. Start your day with that mindset, with that consciousness. And throughout the day, you're going to handle your problem, your challenge in a better way.
Excellent, Nim. I love that. Very, very smart. And David, talk about your early morning routine. What are some of the things you're doing to get ready for your day as we, again, head into these last couple of weeks of the year into 2021?
Well, I look at the day in terms of what are my days, as you know, are very quite packed, and I look at, okay, what needs to be done, and I really look at efficiencies. I look at efficiencies, and one day of the week, I I focus one morning a week. I actually focus on spiritual studies, and so that's just strengthening and stabilizing for me to just take that and implement that into the rest of the week. So my activities are very very driven. It's the amount of how much can I give every every hour. How much can I give more, and even to a high, not only quantitatively but always qualitatively. And that's the one thing I always am jockeying. I always balance those two things and look at them very very consciously, because I find that there's a lot of people. I see a lot of people there. They go into what I call like hustle mode, but it's hustle only on the quantity side, at the sacrifice of the quality side. That is not productive. That is not efficient, and that is actually that's a false notion. To me, that's actually, someone has to be stripped of that false notion. Like, oh, I can't keep it the same quality and move that fast. Yes, you can. Thinking you can't is false. It's wrong. It's false. It lets you down. It lets everyone around you down, and that doesn't work. And so I just push, as you know. I push and push and push myself and others to just not what can I do, but what needs to happen in order to achieve the level of attainment that needs to happen for this to be an incredible success, for being an outstanding achievement, to be a milestone in everyone's lives involved. And that's the viewpoint. I look at what needs to happen is a very different question than what can I do. What can I do is a very limited viewpoint. What needs to happen is a very expansive viewpoint.
Wow, love that. And I'll tell you, for myself, I am an early riser as well, Nim. I love getting up between 4 and 5. It doesn't happen every single day, but it happens most days. I use that time as quiet time, as writing time. I find a lot of strength in writing and just being quiet, before the emails and phone calls start, and just get into a little bit of a rhythm. But you talked about something earlier, both did, routine. I think routines are very, very important, because when we are able to create our own habits and do something consistently every single day, that's progress. That if you do, no matter what it is, whether it's writing a book, whether it's meditating, whether it's, working on your brand or your social media, whatever it is, if you do that same thing consistently every single day, it will lead to progress. And in the process, you're going to be helping yourself and others. So you both said a lot of things in there. And one of the other things that came out is that we're here to help people. That's what else are we here for on earth? Whether it's our family, our friends, our clients, our coworkers, we're here to help. What can I do to help more people every single day? That in itself is a huge win. And I think if people start thinking about that as they go into 2021, instead of thinking about me, I, how much money can I make? Think about, who can I help today?
How many lives can I enrich? It really comes down to that. Now, and with regard to that, there's one very important conversation you need to know about, Nim. See, now Roger does get up early a lot of the time, and I've told him, he's known about this for the past probably over 2 months now, of a coffee that goes by the name of Biftu Gudina. It's an amazing coffee. It's roasted out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and the thing is that it's called Biftu Gudina because I've discovered that that Roger has some questionable. He and his wife have some questionable drinking habits as far as coffee goes. So I've taken them under my wing to try and help them, correct their ways and really bring into their lives with open arms and an open heart and open eyes Biftu Gudina. And it is a divine, lightly roasted Ethiopian coffee. It is very smooth. The only thing smoother is me on a dance floor. That's the only thing smoother.
Amen.
Okay.
Can I say one thing? Can I bring out one thing? For those who listen and who are women, we are the, we made to be the creator, so we are very creative in many ways. So and then we always change our mind, right? So to go all in for 2021, like pick one thing and try to achieve it first before you move to the next task, right? That's like the habit too, because it has been a, I can say this was the biggest mistake for me in my business too. Like, I keep changing my mind, doing different things, different brand all the time. I have like tons of URL, stuff like that. But to start with this coming year, within a few days, sit down before the new year and really set a theme for your year. What is your theme for the next year? And stick with it and stay with it. Yeah.
But you
Don't
know
keep
what?
changing.
But no, I have a question for you though, because I know that you're a realist. I know that you're a realist. So here's my thing. I understand the notion of a thing for a year. But here's what I've seen some people do. They would do something like that. They would fall short of it, like a New Year's resolution.
Yep.
And then they're like ugh, I
By
failed.
February, they're done.
Yeah, and then they just kind of take a loss. And to me, I would almost look at it from the standpoint, I would think it would be more powerful going, you know what? Okay. I mean, I love the idea. I love your idea of like having a daily ritual, because if someone goes, okay, I think it'd be easier for people to go, okay, here's my daily ritual that I'm going to repeat every day and stick to, rather than here's my thing for a year, because
Right.
it's like this. If someone did that in January of 2020, then March comes, they're
Even February, they're done.
they're in shit city. They're in the swamp, right? So the thing is I think that it's like a matter of like, you want to always be able to pivot. You want to always be able to be fluid and be the master of those decisions, not hopefully the subscriber to, oh, I've done this, I've said this, and now I have to live up to that. No, you're the one that said it. Don't lose the fact that you're the driver of this.
That's a good point, David. That's really good point. Also, one thing to remind everyone that yes, setting a goal is fun, very sexy, very exciting, but also side up for inconvenience too, because it's going to be inconvenience to create a new habit, to stay with your idea, to push through, to take action, to sacrifice your your sleep, stay up late at night. Everything it can be very inconvenience. Like I want to hang out and go out for a movie over the weekend too, but I choose to do what I supposed to do now because have the reason and sign up for the inconvenience. So this is one thing that not enough people talk about.
Yeah, no, I love that, Nim, and it's really getting comfortable being uncomfortable, because progress is not in our comfort zone. So it goes against what our monkey mind, or whatever you want to call it, wants us to do. And so I think one of the things though is that because you both hit on a couple of really important points. The one thing I will say is, especially with entrepreneurs, is a lot of people will go down the field. So pretend it's a football game, and you'll go from your 1 yard line all the way down to your opponent's 5 yard line and give up. You have to follow through in order to fulfill some of your needs. And so a lot of people give up too soon. So no matter what it is, I would say just hang in there. Even with my podcast, it's been 3 years now. It's taken 3 years to really start getting some things going. It takes a long time. I could have given up a long time ago. And believe me, there were times I wanted to, but it's people like David Brier and yourself, Nim, and all these wonderful guests that keep me going, because I know it's leading to really positive outcomes. So that's one thing I would say is not to give up on whatever your goal is for this next new year, unless you get to a point where obviously if you're
it's not working.
It's not work. You have to be practical and smart about it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
David Brier, I would love to talk to you and spend a little bit of time talking about the brand intervention masterclass, which the first group of students finished about, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago. You are now getting ready to launch your next group of students, which is shaping up really nicely. It's launching in January. Give people a little bit of an insight about why your masterclass is literally different than any other one that's out there right now on branding.
Well, the basic thing is that being a lifelong student and always looking to up my game, I found myself taking over the course of the very last probably decade, probably about 5 courses, programs by some of the key gurus, and I found that there was a fundamental problem or a common thing that I found with each. I was as clueless at the end as I was in the beginning. I knew all the various things I was being told to do, that these were the formula things, these were the magical things. But I found that I didn't have an understanding. And without that understanding and without that inspection, I found it to have very little value to me. So my course is built on it's not built around you need more David Brier. My course is built on a totally different premise. You need more you. And so the whole program is built on not making you more dependent on me, but making you more independent to think for yourself. And the only way to get there is by actually building it certainty on top of certainty on top of certainty, rather than let me get you a lot of stuff that you need to memorize and follow. If you want to be a puppet, this is not the program. If you want to be a puppet of another who, like, they can do the thinking for you and you just go through the actions, this is not the program. So this is very much built around that. Plus, the course has a very key core premise: never learn for one, always learn for two. And so the thing is that I found that when people study not only for themselves, but to study so that they know it well enough to actually tell others who they might be managing or working with or collaborating with, if they study from that viewpoint, the information is much more valuable. So we have baked into this, because it's literally a hybrid of a master class and a mentorship, actually taking the stuff and actually teaching another while you are learning. And so the amount of ownership is unlike any other program I've ever seen. And then we have these 2-hour Zoom calls, which are like little mini mentorships every Saturday morning, and they are killer. It's like being thrown into the ring. If you show up with BS and excuses, you will be slayed. Those dragons are freaking they're going to be slayed and deep fried and put on the grill, and we're all going to be noshing on them, for lunch. It's very, very, very different. It is not there to teach you formulas that you can blindly follow. If you're interested in swipe files, you're interested in little formulas and templates and Me Too solutions, do not do this. If you want to be able to think for yourself, this gives you the tools to stand on your own 2 feet and then to freaking launch like a beast. It's incredibly powerful and it's transformative. I knew what I was putting into it in the beginning, but when you saw it, like we were into like weeks 4, 5, and 6, guys' lives were changing. I mean, literally changing. I mean, one closed a $7 million deal mid-program. Okay. Yeah. I'm not exaggerating. Closed a $7 million. Another got featured in Forbes. Another just took a client that had been in hibernation mode, and just by applying one thing from the course, actually then secured $60,000 worth of revenue that was just sitting there in just like a little satellite in space. So it's very tangible. I only mentioned it's not only about what you can do and translate into economics at all. It just happens to be an outcome. If you're in your zone, that stuff will happen. And so, but it's a metric that people understand. There's so much. This impacts how you sell. It impacts how you negotiate. It impacts your level of conviction. It impacts every way that you operate, and you'll never ever see the world the same after this.
And what I love about your program, David, is that when you think about branding, most people think about a logo or a slogan. What I learned, just helping you put this program together and watching others go through it, is branding is really the soul of your entity. I mean, it is the heart and soul of it. Is everything you do is in this branding, which you're able to wrap your arms and your mind around this. But it takes time. I mean, you can't do it. That's why it's a 9-week program. You have to learn, step 1, step 2, step 3 before you could get to 6, 7, 8, 9.
And the point you just made is very interesting, because as you know, there are people that want to jump, that they want to do what's covered in module 6 first. And I'm going, there's a reason why it hasn't worked for you before. And because everything that comes prior to that makes it possible for you to now succeed in each of the steps. And so absolutely, it's sequential. It compounds and it builds upon each other.
That's great. Well, I will drop a link here for folks if they want to check out your mini webinar for your program, which is launching in mid-January. And thanks so much for doing it. You're changing lives by having that program out in the world.
Absolutely.
Nim, what are you up to for 2021? Tell us some of the things that people could look forward to seeing and hearing from you, and also let people know how they could get a hold of you.
Thank you so much, Roger. I'm so excited for this project. This is my book series, and this is the first book series. The title of the book is "You Were Made to Be Unstoppable." I co-writing this book with 30 other women around the world, actually across the world, and everybody gonna share the unstoppable story. And I'm super excited to read all the 30 stories. I'm excited to share with each of you. It will be available at the end of January. It's coming up very soon. And the second project that I'm kind of proud of myself so much, and my team too, is the Go All In TV. I just talked to Fox 10 yesterday, and we're gonna air. We're gonna have this opportunity to air our show on Fox 10 every week, and we're just excited. What I'm looking for is to spread the word and help those of you entrepreneurs and everyone who have the potential, the purpose to share your message and to help the world. I would love to interview each of you and come to my show and just share your message to help other people. The best way to reach out to me is just check out my website, nimstant.com, and goallin.tv. All the information will be there, and just so thankful to connect. Yeah.
That's great. And you know what we should do before I forget is let's schedule a call next year at this time, the three of us, so we could talk about what's happened, over the last 12 months. And kind of compare notes. I think that would be really fun. So we'll put that on the calendar.
Yes.
So we could do that. And David, how about you? What's the best way for people to reach out to you? I know you do, in addition to the Brand Intervention Masterclass, you help companies rebrand, you help cities rebrand. Yep. You've been doing this for 40 years. Yep. How do people reach out to you?
I mean, certainly LinkedIn, but I mean, I have a YouTube channel. I mean, they can certainly go to my website, risingabovethenoise.com, RISING, risingabovethenoise.com. And, but you could check me out. You could definitely YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. That's where I really post a lot. And you're definitely invited. We have a public group on Facebook, a Brand Invention Masterclass public group, which you're more than invited to join. There's some good things going to be dropping there, but certainly check out what's going on. There's a lot of golden stuff going on LinkedIn. I mean, some crazy stuff that because of LinkedIn's platform, I'm able to actually share some things that I can't really share other places. It actually does have a couple of advantages. With all the LinkedIn can be quirky and funky. It can have some odd little hiccups, but there is one particular thing that is just amazing, and just people have been getting incredible value out of it. So those are definitely some ways. If you're like, hey, some people I've heard some people say, hey, well, I'm a little shy. It's like, shy, kiss my ass shy. Okay, if you're interested, reach out. Okay, that may be in the title of my next book, Kiss My Ass Shy. Something like that.
David, what's your phone number if someone wants to text you? I know you're not shy about giving out your phone number.
What's that?
What's your phone number in case someone wants to text you?
Oh, my phone number.
Yes, I'm going to drop it in the chat.
I love it. All right, so here's the thing, guys. That's right. I give these out. I started doing this last week. You want to text me directly? I'm going to tell you. You text me. You say bang 612-868-6017. You can text me directly, and we can like reach out and we can like connect. And I will tell you, the worst thing in the world is to leave your dreams unfulfilled, to leave your dreams yearning for more. Do not fail your dreams. I firmly believe that we are each more capable of doing so much more than we give ourselves credit for. And no matter how much we put in, it doesn't negate what you've already done to be demanded more. It just is like, okay, that's a good stretch. Now stretch more. Good. It's a good stretch, and it'll stretch even more, because your dreams require that much fuel. Your aspirations require that much fuel. Your greatness requires that much fuel, because it's like, you are a high octane source of fuel, and some people are operating like they're freaking like the lowest grade of fuel. It's like, you know what? Not on my watch. No freaking way.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, I just want to fill everyone in that my theme for 2021 is called Build the Best You. I've been working on myself, and it's a constant work in progress, as we all know. I believe until the day we die, we're working on improving our lives. So I'm just finishing a book called Build the Best You. It's a 44-day program. You basically read a short passage every day for 44 days. It's what I did for myself, and now I want to pass that on to others. So Build the Best You is my theme for 2021. I'll be dropping the book link here in a couple of weeks. And I thank you both very much for coming on tonight, because you've offered so much value and wisdom. And I know just from the comments that people really gained a lot from it. So Nim, Stant, David, Brier, thank you so much. Any last words before I let either of you go?
Well, I'm going to jump in and just say, excellent recommendation, Roger. You said, hey, Nim would be great. And Nim, who's total star. She's like filled the sky with stars. You're shining light. Thank you for being who you are in the world.
Thank you so much, Roger and David, for being here and sharing for me too. The entrepreneurship is not easy, right? And you don't do it alone. You need friends like this, and you need support like this. So for my last word that I want to leave with everyone here that watching and listening, punch fear in the face and crush it. Punch fear in the face. Whenever it happened, just like, that it's happened, but just like, punch fear in the face and crush 2021.
Here, Nim, I'm giving you a socially distanced virtual hug. That was awesome.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, guys, so much. You guys have a great rest of your evening wherever you may be, and tune in next week for another episode with David, Brier, and I, and we'll see who the guest is next week.
Exactly. This was awesome. Thank you, guys. You both rocked.
Thank you so much.